we'll start off with the prayer for those that like to participate. We'll take a moment. Gracious Heavenly Father, we ask you today to govern our mouths and govern our minds accordingly to do the business and the work of the city of Saginaw. We ask that you wrap your arms around the city, around our leaders and around our politicians and around the people that make the crucial decision. We ask a special thank for our law enforcement officers and our firefighters and the day-to-day operation people that keep us going. Father, we know that you're able, and we're asking you to just show a little mercy on the city of Saginaw. These things we ask in the mighty name of Jesus. Now we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, and nobody's going to sing afterwards, y'all, so don't get crazy. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Williams.
Present, City of Saginaw, Michigan.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Balls.
Present in the City of Saginaw, Michigan.
Councilmember Bench.
Present in Saginaw, Michigan.
Councilmember Ostash.
Present, City of Saginaw, Michigan.
Councilmember Scherzer. Councilmember Copeland.
Present, City of Saginaw, Michigan.
Councilmember Lamar Sylvia.
Present, Saginaw, Michigan.
Councilmember Flores.
Present, City of Saginaw, Michigan.
And Mayor Moore.
Present, Saginaw, Michigan. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Do we have any announcements?
Yes, I do. I'd like to bring your attention to the agenda for consent agenda item number 36. Rather than the vendor stating PVS Norwood Chemicals, it should be with Jones Chemicals Corporation. That was a typo mistake. The council communication that's submitted with the packet is correct, and that is for Jones Chemicals Corporation. So when you approve that agenda item, it will be with the vendor Jones Chemical Corporation.
Okay.
And also I want to remind everyone that City Hall will be closed Monday, July 5th for the Independence holiday. And Mayor, on our agenda, we have a proclamation, and it's declaring June 28th of 2021 as Pride Day.
Thank you so much. And we will have that proclamation read by Councilman Ostash. And we have a young lady who is here to receive it tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. City of Saginaw proclamation. Whereas the historic turning point in the movement towards equal rights for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender LGBT people occurred on June 28, 1969 in New York City with the onset of the Stonewall riots. And whereas with these riots, LGBT citizens rose up and fought against the discriminatory criminal laws that have since been declared unconstitutional. And whereas LGBT pride celebrations have taken place around the country every June to commemorate the beginning of the Stonewall riots, and whereas June is celebrated as LGBT Pride Month nationwide, and whereas the nation was founded on the principle of equal rights for all people, but the fulfillment of this promise has been long in coming for many Americans. Some of the most inspiring moments in our history have arisen from various civil rights movements that have brought one group after another from the margins to the mainstream of American society. And whereas the City of Saginaw supports rights of every citizen to experience equality and freedom from discrimination, and whereas on April 12th, 2021, the City of Saginaw Council passed a resolution in support of legislation recognizing lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer questioning LGBTQ+ individuals as a protected class. Now, therefore, it be resolved, I, Brenda Moore, Mayor of the City of Saginaw, do hereby proclaim June 28, 2021 as Pride Day in the City of Saginaw and urge residents to celebrate with our members of the LGBTQ+ community. Furthermore, recognizing the contributions made by members of the LGBTQ+ community and actively promote the principles of equality, liberty, and justice. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the city of Saginaw to be affixed this 21st day of June in the year of our Lord 2021. Brenda F. Moore, Mayor of Saginaw. Councilpersons Mayor D. Balls, Mayor Pro Tem, Annie Bench, George Copeland, Jr. Michael Flores, Monique Lamar Sylvia, Bill Ostash, Autumn Scherzer, and Reggie William II, and Timothy Morales, City Manager.
We're not in person, Miss Beth, so in person you'd have got a hey. So we're gonna improvise, sweetie. We'd love for you to have something to say.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Councilman. My name is Beth Sybray, and I'm proud to serve as president of the Board of Directors for the Great Lakes Bay Pride. Our mission at Great Lakes Bay Pride is to provide inclusive sexual orientation and gender identity education, advocacy, networking, and resources to individuals and organizations in the Great Lakes Bay region of Saginaw, Bay, Midland, and Isabella counties. On behalf of the Great Lakes Bay Pride, I want to thank the Saginaw City Council for this proclamation recognizing June 28th as Pride Day in the city of Saginaw. Thank you for your support of the LGBT community and our allies. Thank you very much for having me tonight. I wish you all well.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Madam Clerk.
Mayor, your next order of business is public input.
This is just a reminder that all speakers have 3 minutes. Please get all of your vital information in your 3 minutes. The clerk will be timing you. And so I need you to get everything in so that you don't get cut off before you make your points. Please. Madam Clerk.
Mayor, our first speaker tonight is Audrey Beatty.
Miss Audrey, are you? Okay.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Go ahead, Audrey.
Tell me when to start. Okay. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. With all due respect to the council and others to whom this is due, I'm a native of Saginaw, and I have been reluctant in coming before you. And my reason for coming is because I reflect back to what Congressman John Lewis said. He said, if you see something that is wrong, say something, do something. Well, why I'm here tonight. I would like to say something, but I would also like to be able to do something with others who are willing to help achieve something. And I'm sure what I'm talking about would be included among some of the objectives among many residents and stakeholders in this city. As a native of Saginaw, I have grown to become an elderly senior, and I am disturbed to find that the services available to seniors and others, especially seniors and those who are disabled, who are in need of home repairs, basic senior services, and more. And I'm told that there are several places where residents get much needed repairs when they're unable to manage. But when you call these different places, you do not get the response. And I was told that the city provides help to these homeowners only one time every 20 years. How ridiculous. I called to confirm this, and this is true. Once every 20 years, no wonder the east side of Saginaw looks so depleted. It looks like a war zone, that nobody who's retired and able to leave Saginaw has not much of a desire to want to come back, because it does not provide an amenable, pleasant appearance to people that are not familiar with Saginaw. Saginaw has a lot of history. We have lots and lots of things to offer, but we want Saginaw to look that way. My question to you is, how can we have a place to meet where people will not feel threatened, where we can talk about these issues that come before our community? I understand that there are dollars upon dollars that are coming in. Well, we want to have a say so because we have so many needs. We have senior needs. We have youth needs. We have veteran needs. We have all kinds of needs. We have housing and resident needs. We have street needs. We have all kinds of needs. But I really feel that a sincere, heartfelt effort should be made to include the residents, the stakeholders of this town. When you have monies coming in and not enough people are there to say where it should go, then it's deja vu. It's the same old thing. I mean, after all, we've experienced that with the Cool City monies and other places. Now, I would, as I've said again, I would like the council to tell me or provide a place where residents can meet on a non-threatening environment, a non-threatening atmosphere, so we can talk about this.
Term is expired. Your time is expired, Mayor.
Okay, Ms. Beatty, you will have a response by our city manager to your questions. So look for something to come in the mail shortly.
Okay,
Mayor, our next speaker is Thomas Roy.
Mr. Roy?
Hello.
How are you today? Okay.
I'm wonderful. Thank you, Mayor, council people, council persons. I appreciate the opportunity to speak in front of you. I liked it always before when I could do it in person. That way, So I want to thank Councilwoman Bill Oshkosh for helping us Saturday. We had a can separation, and Councilman Oshkosh was there helping us. He worked his butt off. He really did a lot. I think he yelled at me a couple times to get more work done, but I thank you. As many of you know, the Saginaw Area Fireworks collected cans last year and this year to help support paying for the fireworks. So we have about 3 truckloads full of cans that we have to separate from cans, bottles, and plastic. So it's a long process, but we'll get it done so we can pay for the fireworks. But other than that, we're very fortunate to be back in the city. We're happy that we're going to be able to throw the fireworks on Ojibwe Island. We love Ojibwe Island. We love the city. We appreciate everything that the city does for us. We appreciate basically the community because they really come out and helped us out a lot. I won't keep much more of your time. Is there anybody that has any questions for me that I'd be more than happy to answer while I have you guys on the phone line? No?
Roy, this is not Thomas, is not a question answer period. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Well, that's basically all I have to say. We're looking forward to the fireworks. We're going to have a great day July 4th.
Thank you so much, Thank you so much, Mr. Roy. Madam Clerk.
Our next speaker is Rebecca Willard.
Miss Rebecca, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hello.
Okay. How are you?
I'm good. Hi. My name, like you said, is Rebecca Willard. I am a public health nurse with the Saginaw County Health Department and have been working on developing what is called a Syringe Service program here at the health department. We are all aware of our current opioid epidemic and how this can affect our communities and the people who live in them. I just wanted to talk to you guys today about some health concerns related to IV drug use and how a syringe service program could mitigate some of it. Infections are a frequent concern for IV drug users, especially if they are using dirty or shared needles, which oftentimes is the only thing available. This can range from bacterial or fungal infections to skin, abscesses, or even sepsis, which is an infection in the bloodstream, or other bloodborne pathogens like HIV or hepatitis C that can threaten the life of the user and increase the risk of spreading to others in the community. Hepatitis C is an infection caused by a virus that infects the liver. It can be undetected for years, allowing spread, and can cause multiple health concerns and deaths years after the original infection. In the nation from 2010 to 2016, we saw an increase in hepatitis C infections 3.5-fold, with the greatest incident in people under 30. Higher levels of hepatitis C in a younger population correlated with higher levels of IV drug use in that area. We can also see on a heat map of Saginaw County that higher levels in the city of Saginaw demonstrated need for targeted support in this area. HIV is another risk with IV drug use. A 2017 study showed in Michigan about 12% of new HIV cases in men were in part contributed to IV drug use, and about 27% of new cases in females were. Syringe Service programs have been shown to reduce the prevalence of HIV and hepatitis C infections with their clients by as much as 50%. Not only is the drug user at risk to increase in the spread of bloodborne pathogens, but more of these diseases in the community, especially when untreated and possibly undiagnosed, the more it can spread to others in the community. We can definitely see this risk to first responders and healthcare workers. Past research on SSP programs has shown us that they can reduce accidental needle sticks to law enforcement officers by as much as 66%. Also, with linkage to testing and treatment, we can help ensure those that already have a HIV or a Hep C diagnosis can receive proper treatment. The increase of proper disposal of used syringes with FFPs can help increase or help limit the risk to others in the community. Well, ultimately, we want to help move intravenous drug users to recovery, of which FFP clients are 5 times more likely to enter. It is an important public health goal to help these populations and the community to be safe in the meantime. We can do that by increasing access to Narcan or naloxone, which we can use FFPs to do, and also using the resources available to help keep everyone as safe and healthy and disease-free as possible. Thank you for listening.
Her time has expired. Time has expired.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Chanel Booz.
Hello.
Hello, Chanel.
Hi. Hi.
Yep. Go ahead.
Do I just go ahead and get started? Okay. Well, my name is Chanel Booz, and I am a person in long-term recovery. And what that means to me is it's been a little over 6.5 years since I put a drink or a drug in my body to change the way that I feel or the way that I act. And tonight I'm coming to you to talk about the Safe Syringe Exchange Program from the Community Foundation as well as the Health Department. I'm a Saginaw County coordinator for an organization called Peer 360 Recovery Alliance. What that organization is it's a community recovery organization, which does a couple things within the community. We provide support groups called All Recovery Meetings to people in recovery from any kind of substance use disorder, behavioral addiction, mental health conditions, so on and so forth. We also provide education and advocacy to reduce stigma in the community. We feel that stigma is a huge issue related to substance use disorder, and we encourage people to do things that reduce the stigma within the community. And I think that the needle exchange program, there's a lot of stigma related to that. And what I want to address is that in my experience, I found that a person who is dead cannot find recovery. So if we can offer Narcan and safe items for using, we bring that person closer to knowing that there is hope and there is recovery. There are many people who suffer from substance use disorder who were born into that lifestyle and have no idea that there is a way out. They don't know that there's hope. They don't know that there's a possibility of recovery. And by having these exchange programs, they're exposed to resources within the community that they most desperately need to find recovery. And they are more likely, statistics do show that they are more likely to find recovery when being exposed to recovery resources on a regular basis. And the needle exchange program would require things like Narcan training and meeting with a recovery coach and doing some other things to help promote recovery within the community. And that is my goal here at Peer 360, is to support the community, decrease the stigma that's related to substance use disorder, and also to help with, we are going to do the Narcan trainings for free, and we also are going to be offering recovery coaching services one-on-one as well as group participation meetings within the community for people who are suffering from substance use disorder. And we continue to reach out to people in the community, and we're just really glad that you guys gave us an opportunity to speak today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mayor, our next speaker is Mary Miller.
Hello,
Mary
thank
Miller?
you. I'm here.
Okay.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Mary Miller. I am a harm reduction analyst for the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. Part of my job at MDHHS is to help implement and provide technical assistance for syringe service programs. So we are asked here today to speak about syringe service programs and where they stand in Michigan. A little bit of history about syringe service programs is prior to 2019, there were only 4 syringe service programs in Michigan. These programs are known as legacy programs, and they were predominantly run by HIV and AIDS organizations. As the opioid epidemic has increased, MDHHS has seen a need to also increase their investment and resources into syringe service programs. We have since gone from these 4 legacy programs to 25 programs across the state of Michigan. Tackling a number of different geographies, we include urban, rural, and suburban areas by supporting not only community-based organizations, but also local health departments to provide these syringe services. Our vision has always been that people will inject substances. Michiganders are going to inject substances. But as a state health department, we feel like these individuals should have the opportunity to do that safely and have access to the supplies that they need. Syringe service programs, as said before, they distribute sterile syringes, which prevent the spread of illnesses such as HIV, hepatitis C and B, and the spread of other bloodborne infections. Syringe service programs also become the best way to distribute naloxone, which is, like they said, the medication used for overdose reversal, directly into the hands of the individuals who need it most. Syringe service programs also provide a link to substance use disorder treatment. In fact, these syringe service programs are 5 times more likely to have their participants enter substance use disorder treatment than those who are not participants of a syringe service program. We've made a lot of really great strides to get services across the state, but currently Saginaw does not have a syringe service program. And this is partly due to the barriers in place, which include the drug paraphernalia ordinance, which may not even be on your radar due to it being an ordinance that was possibly put on the books 30 to 40 years ago. The state of Michigan has a state statute in place for syringe services programs to operate. However, the way that it's worded at this time still requires us to have to go through the hoops of overturning the paraphernalia ordinances, even though SSPs are legal in Michigan. MDHHS is investing in syringe service programs, with Saginaw being on our radar. We have been building the infrastructure for a syringe service program to be successful here in Saginaw and operate for the long run. We currently fund the local health department for syringe services, but with that barrier of the paraphernalia ordinance, they haven't been able to yet. And so we would obviously like to see that change and see the syringe service program be as successful
Sorry,
here
your time has expired. Thank you. Your time has expired. Mayor, our next speaker is Jill Armatrout.
Hello, this is Jill Armentrout. Can you hear me?
Go ahead. Yep, go ahead, Jill.
Great, thank you so much. Hi, I'm Jill Armentrout. I'm the Fund Development Coordinator with Great Lakes Bay Health Centers, which is the federally qualified health center in our region, including Saginaw County. And we provide our staff providing medical, dental, behavioral health services, including substance use disorder treatment, as well as HIV testing and outreach and treatment of HIV and hepatitis C. Great Lakes Bay Health Centers is supportive of the addition of a syringe service program into the Saginaw community. Studies have shown that syringe service programs can decrease the risk of HIV and hepatitis C. The data is supportive of this at this time. Modeling shows significant decrease in HIV and hepatitis C infections. We would support this program because we do help care for patients who are experiencing substance use disorders, as well as patients seeking treatment for these infections. We are involved in harm reduction through distribution of Narcan and other outreach, and we do provide the treatment and recovery coaching for substance use disorders in our centers and through our mobile medical units. So we would just like to offer our support as a partner in this work. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gia. Madam Clerk.
Our final speaker tonight is Kendra Kemp.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay. I was going to set a timer, but it probably won't even help. Okay, so I'm Kendra Kemp. I'm with the Saginaw Community Foundation. We'll start from there. So in the beginning of 2021, Vital Strategies Overdose Prevention Program partnered with the Community Foundation for Southeast Michigan and the Council of Michigan Foundations to form the Michigan Harm Reduction Project and fund local groups expanding harm reduction services in their jurisdictions. Vital Strategies is the lead partner in the Bloomberg Philanthropies Initiative to tackle overdose epidemic and reduce deaths in states where fatalities are among the highest in the country. Through this partnership, Vital Strategies awarded 10 $60,000 grants to 10 community foundations located throughout Michigan to reduce overdose deaths by expanding harm reduction services. The Saginaw Community Foundation received this grant based on our strong Saginaw partners and collaborators in the city of Saginaw and across the county. Funding from this grant, along with a grant from Dow, will be used to provide stigma reduction training to the Saginaw Police Department and EMS employees. This training will be provided by our friends at Peer 360, and this grant helps pay for the overtime for police and EMS to attend training. This grant also helps support the Saginaw Police Department overtime costs when officers accompany Families Against Narcotics representatives on quick response team calls. Those are calls that are made after someone has experienced an overdose, and then they go to the house to see if they can connect them with services. Also, this funding supports community awareness efforts through 2 different public art projects. Art created by those in recovery will be displayed on a STARS bus for a year, and a public mural will be created with the input of those in recovery by a professional muralist from the area. Lastly, with the change of a City of Saginaw ordinance, this grant funding can support a Syringe Service program, an SSP, with the Saginaw County Health Department through the purchase of safe use supplies. As a person whose life has been impacted by opioid addiction and has lost someone they love from heroin overdose, the goal of harm reduction services is to keep people alive. No one can ever go into recovery if they are no longer with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mayor, your next order of business is remarks of council.
And we will start tonight with Councilman Copeland.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, fellow council members, and all of those who have joined us. Thank you to our public speakers for what you have shared this evening. I do want you to know it did not fall on deaf ears. We were attentive and appreciate your comments and concerns that you shared with us this evening. I do want to first start off in saying happy belated Father's Day to all the fathers of the city of Saginaw. One thing I'm currently going to continue to say is fathers, you are needed in our community, especially what we see in our young people. Fathers are very important as a sense of guidance to this generation. So you are important. I also want to say happy belated Juneteenth to all of those who are listening. It was great to see that it is now a federal holiday, and we had plenty of opportunities to celebrate here in the city of Saginaw. It was great to hear the feedback. I had a chance to hear on Kareem Bowen's radio show of how great some of the sessions went on Saturday. My family, we host our own, but it was really great to hear that the city of Saginaw took part and celebrated. I do want to share quickly just a few updates on what's going on for our small businesses. If you do need assistance, especially after COVID, looking at budgets and having questions, the Saginaw Economic Development Corporation have been offering budgeting and finance one-on-one workshops. If you are interested, I was just on the second session before our meeting this evening. There's already been 2 sessions. There's still a third session. You can go onto the City of Saginaw's YouTube page to catch the first one and tonight's session. If you're interested in the third session, you can still sign up. Also, we have the Community in Unity Small Business Expo taking place June 27th at the SVRC Marketplace Pavilion from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. I enjoy supporting our local businesses, and this is a great opportunity. So if you have time, please stop by. Also, to our Saginaw residents, the sign up for summer school is open. This has been and as a higher education professional, I take education seriously. This has been a very interesting year. At any time, if your students are behind, this will be a great opportunity. Sign them up for summer school just to remediate those areas that may have fell behind this academic school year. The city of the Saginaw Public School District is working with our young people. So the sign up for summer school is open. Please encourage your children to sign up. Also, there are still opportunities for our young people here at the City of Saginaw for employment. If you're interested, go ahead and go to our city website. It is great to see everyone. All of our mandates are lifting tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow. So please be mindful, be careful. It's still here, but please use wisdom. All right, that's all I have for you.
Thank you. Next, we will have Councilwoman Sylvia.
Good evening, everyone. Just a couple announcements I wanted to promote or make people aware. On August the 14th, they're going to have a comedy show at Huntington Park on the 14th of August. That may be something where we can relax and have some fun again, a little bit of fun again. Also, I'd like to give kudos and shout out to Terry Reed for Juneteenth. He fed the city. And also on the 13th, Pastor Kervin Merrill had a Stop the Violence rally. I was in attendance for a while, over 300 people. It was really great. And I have a young man, one of our very own young men in the city of Saginaw, has started his own cleaning service and to help with COVID and everything like that. His name is Mr. Antoine Davis. And he has a new business, A&D Cleaning Service. So I just wanted to make you all aware of that. And that's all I have to say today right now.
Thank you. Lost my cheat sheet. Next, we'll have Councilman Williams. I'm sorry.
Good evening, everyone. First, I'd like to say thank you for our speakers tonight, and Ms. Beatty, I hope that we can do something. Maybe Councilwoman Bench can do something maybe in the one-on-one program in regards to fiscal responsibilities as far as municipalities go, or we can do a town hall to help educate our citizens on how our city money works. I also like to say that I am in full support of the Safe Syringe program, but I would like to get together maybe and have intimate discussion on how that would work as far as law enforcement is concerned, and how we can work with the ordinance and see how we can help each other in that aspect. And my sweatshirt tonight, Manifest Life Counseling. For those that need therapeutic resources, this is one. And I am also in support of our proclamation tonight that was put forth. Yes. And that's all I have for tonight. Very, very good evening. Very happy. So, okay.
Thank you. Next, we have Councilman Flores.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you to all our public speakers. Ms. Beatty, I agree that we need to do a better job of engaging with the public. As Councilwoman or Council Member Williams had said, Councilwoman Bench has been doing a great job about engaging with the public on Facebook. So head over to her Facebook page and see if you guys can get something else going on, or you could always contact me, 989-992-3803. Again, the master plan for the city is underway, and we're looking for public input in that as well. And so if you do have the opportunity, go to our Facebook page, City of Saginaw, to engage in that conversation as well. Happy Juneteenth and happy Father's Day to everybody that had celebrated this past week, and to the rest of the public speakers that had came on tonight. Thank you so much for doing so and pointing out the drug paraphernalia ordinance. As a recovered IV drug user and someone that was brought back to life by Narcan, I really, really applaud your efforts to make sure that everybody is aware of people that, do suffer from substance use disorder are all not bad people, and that we can help them build a better life if we get rid of the obstacles that are currently in their way. And that ordinance may have been put there for a good intention, but also, as you said, is preventing you from doing more incredible work. So that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Councilwoman Bench.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you to our public speakers as well. To Ms. Beatty, I would point out too, in case it's an avenue you haven't been able to explore, I don't know if she's still listening, but I know the city does do what they can with our CDBG home funds once annually. Unfortunately, there is a window of opportunity where people can apply, but those funds are available for people who are low income. I don't think it's age restricted or anything like that. It really is based on your ability income wise, but I would encourage you to look into that. We are having a local government 101 video recorded session coming up, and if she would like to reach out to me, certainly via Facebook, my contact information is there, and you can certainly reach out to the manager's office. If there are any specific questions that I can include for her, I would be more than happy to do that. I know that we have a lot of good agencies in the community, and all of them will tell you the same thing, much like the city. We only have so many tax dollars to provide services to so many people, and those organizations also only have so many grant dollars and donated dollars to provide services to. So we do understand, because there's a lot of need out there that's not being met right now, and it's only been made worse by the fact that we've had people out of work and so much uncertainty. I would like to thank Mr. Roy for everything he does and everything that he's doing towards making the 4th of July happen. I know I've been stir crazy, and I am vaccinated and ready to get out and go back to some normal activity. But like Councilman Copeland said, with everything lifting tomorrow, we've got people who are still, able to get vaccinated and need to do so if they so choose. And I would just encourage everybody out there, if you haven't gotten vaccinated yet, give it some more thought, and please hit up one of the local clinics and get them done. My kids got theirs, and they're doing fine. The whole family's done. But we know the best way to get back to normal and to all the good things that we need to be doing is to make sure that we're all safe. And if you can't get vaccinated, wear your mask. It's still cool to wear a mask. So, and to the, I'm not going to quit. And to the ladies who came for the Safe Syringe program, what a noble and wonderful endeavor. And I hope that our staff is able to find a way to address that ordinance and support your efforts, because we know that there's a huge need there, and anything that we can do to help people recover or even just use in a safe environment, that's what we need to do, and connect those people with those resources and make sure that everyone is safe. So thank you. That's all I have. Have a good night.
Thank you. Next, we have Councilman Ostash.
Thanks, Mayor. Good evening, everybody, and thanks for coming to our council meeting and watching virtually. Thanks to all our speakers that came tonight. I'm not going to rehash everything that everybody says, but I'm in agreement. And yes, happy Juneteenth that just took place, and happy belated Father's Day to everybody that there's fathers. And George Copeland, Councilman Copeland, loved those words that you had of encouragement. You're right. We do need fathers for good upbringing. That's very important in our community. Thomas Roy, it was a pleasure to do the can event with you. I think we had about 25 people there. We're looking to doing one next month and maybe towards the end of July. So I would happily do that with you again. It was nice to meet a few new faces. We actually emptied one semi of cans. And so it kind of got my system going there and had everything going on. But it was really a great event and just a great day. And we got rained on a little bit, but we had tents and we just still kept plugging along. Next, the folks that came here with the SSP program, I first heard about this last year from Jill Armentrout from Great Lakes Bay Health Centers, and it really sparked my interest because of some of the statistics that she was sharing with me that my fellow council members all had the opportunity to hear tonight. One of the important things that I realized was, people that can get into the program normally then can get into recovery, and if they happen to fall out of recovery because sometimes things don't go well, at least there's something there for them to fall back into, so then maybe they can get them back into recovery. I too have lost a family member to addiction, however, it was not opioids or heroin, but it doesn't always have to be, and it is something that's really hard to talk about and hard to go through. And I want to thank the folks too, because they did invite me to a meeting last week where I met with the Community Foundation. I think there was people there from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services and the county. And what I found during the meeting, that the meeting there's a lot of emotion around the conversation, because we're talking about a very difficult topic, but we're also talking about ways to help our community. So again, thanks to the folks that came tonight. I really support your program. I like what Councilman Williams said. I think there's a way for us to try and make this work for everybody, and taking a look at and see what we can do. So Mayor, that's all I have for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Councilwoman Scherzer, if she's on. Next, we have Mayor Pro Tem Balls.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to welcome the citizens that came to the meeting and spoke. I hope your concerns will be met. I have taken the Narcan training, and I too would be more than happy to help someone else if they happen to overdose. I do have that in my truck. Mr. Flores, thanks for sharing your personal stories with us. It puts another light on the other situations and made me see your heart and where it's at. I'd like to mention too, Happy Father's Day to the fathers. And I would like to tell a slight story that I think relates to Father's Day and mentoring. I haven't mentioned mentoring lately, but everybody know I'm a big advocate of the Big Brothers and Sisters program, and I'm a mentor, and I am in the Big Brothers and Sisters program on the board of directors and a big brother for 30 years. But it kind of reminds me of the story of the starfish. The kid walking down and picking up all the starfish, throwing one in at a time, and the gentleman come and ask him, saying, "Why are you doing that? There's thousands of starfishes out here. Why are you just picking them up and throwing them in there?" He said, it makes a difference, for that one. And when I think about mentoring, when you mentor one kid one-on-one, not only do it make a difference for that particular kid, but it makes a difference for society as a whole, because it helps him to grow out to be a productive member of society. That if you happen to have any children, then that mentorship that he receives is probably going to help his family out. We know all the issues that we're having with crime in the city of Saginaw, with young guys going out doing stupid things, and I bet 80% of those kids probably don't have a father at home, if not more. So it's up to us to be a mentor to those kids. It's amazing to me that Father's Day is only one day, and National Mentoring Month get the whole month of January. So which one is more important right now? I know mentorship helps a ton. The young guys I have mentored over the 30 years, neither one of them have gotten into any major troubles. They go to school, they go to college. One of them is even working in my credit union. They turn out to be some great kids just by me mentoring them for a little bit. And the mentorship don't take a lot. It don't take like going out spending money on them. Just spending time with them. The time is the investment that we put into those kids to make them better and productive members of society. So what I'm saying is that everybody can put a little time with our children as an investment for all of our future. When crime comes to Saginaw, we have wayward kids doing crime, and it affects the whole city. No one wants to come and invest money in our city. Other people in the surrounding areas talk about us like we're not good at all, and that these kids will never be productive members of society. But I guarantee you.
Time has expired. Time has expired.
All right, thank you. I thought I'd get an extra 2 minutes because I was the mayor pro tem, but I guess not.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to thank everybody, period, for all that they do for the city, my fellow council persons. This week coming up is Light Up the City. It will be a drive-through. I'm going back and forth with Dr. Petros to see if I can get in to do this Wednesday, but if not, next week they'll be at Merle Park from 6 to 8. It's a drive-through. The 20th, they will be at Thompson Middle School from 6 to 8. It's a drive-through on Court Street. And on August the 11th, which is the last one, they'll end up at Saginaw High from 6 to 8. Also, it's a drive-through. I think that it's important for a council to be visual, especially with a lot of stuff that's going on right now. Shout out to fathers and mothers who have to play both roles. Okay, we fathers and mothers, so shout out to us. And also, it was a fabulous weekend, even though I got sick from being in the rain. Juneteenth was exciting on 5th Street. They had voters registration. They probably had about 10 to 12 different vendors. It was really a glorious time. Terry Reed stopped by his place. It was fabulous. The city of Saginaw had a lot of activities going on. And it is something to see when we all get together and we doing it together in peace. I don't recall any type of incidents, at least not where I was. No type of incidents, and that was good. Young and old was out. The one good thing about when we have stuff happening in the city, we always have good food. So you just go home, just fat as a tick, because you got to sample all of the goodies. I did meet some entrepreneur young people at the Juneteenth, and it was phenomenal. We got one that did sweets, one that did popcorn. And so I'm going to see what I can do to showcase all of those vendors, because they had some beautiful stuff. Most of it was handmade, and they all said the same thing, made with love. I like that, because love is the answer. I like that. Love is the answer this year. I just want to thank you, council persons, and I'm still encouraging you all, find something constructive that's moving our city forward and begin to work on it. You won't get a chance, Miss Jan. I'm done. Thank you, sweetie.
Thank you, Mayor. Our next order of business is the report from the city manager.
Mr. Morales.
Thank you. So first, I would just put a few items out there regarding the block grant program that's home assistance. The Human Planning Commission, which does allocate funding for those programs, does have public input at all their meetings. They meet several times throughout the year. And I know it's been much more difficult to participate in public input with virtual meetings, but I think very soon that most, if not all, public meetings will be in person. So that should, I think, help quite a bit. The actual home assistance program is one that has a lot of applications, and we have I think hundreds and hundreds of people in line, which does limit the amount of funding that can be allocated out. But we do have potential coming up with some of the funds that we are getting for federal funding. So maybe that's the type of program that could be considered once we have the final rules. I would also point out that I think a lot of people do have misconceptions about the block grant funds and those home funds, home improvement funds. Every senior citizen in the city is not eligible for that funding because you have to live in designated census tracts. So we do have a lot of people who are not eligible for that block grant funding to help improve homes. And I think that's an issue as well. So hopefully that's something that we can talk more about in the future. We do talk quite a bit about transparency in our city government, and we did receive notification regarding our audit. Again, this year, the Government Finance Officers Association of the United States and Canada has awarded the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting to the City of Saginaw for its comprehensive annual financial report for fiscal year ended June 30th, 2020. The report has been judged by an impartial panel to meet the high standards of the program, which includes demonstrating constructive spirit of full disclosure to clearly communicate its financial story and motivate potential users and user groups to read the report. The Certificate of Achievement is the highest form of recognition in the area of governmental accounting and financial reporting, and its attainment represents a significant accomplishment by a government and its management. This is the 12th consecutive year that the City of Saginaw has received this recognition, and I would like to congratulate our Finance Director, Lori Brown, and her staff for achieving this honor. So we're very proud of that, and proud that we have received that since 2009. And that, to me, does illustrate that we are putting our financial information out there, and this is not reviewed by anonymous people on the internet. This is reviewed by finance professionals who do know what they're looking at, and I think that is a great honor, and we committed to that way back in 2009 because we wanted to make sure that we were putting our information out there so it could be reviewed in the best way possible. Additionally, talking about competency, Tax Management Associates recently conducted an audit of minimum assessing requirements on behalf of the State Tax Commission. The audit indicated that the City of Saginaw met all requirements and received a perfect score on the review, which is another great job by Fiscal Services. And congratulations once again to Finance Director Lori Brown, who oversees that area, and the assessing staff. So good job by them on that as well. I know some council members have asked about fire chief, since Chief Van Loo has retired, and we do have Battalion Chief Tom Raines as our acting chief currently. Many of you, I'm sure, have met him before. He's very active in the neighborhood association meetings, and we are currently in the process of our selection of our permanent fire chief, and we expect to have that completed in the next few weeks. And finally, the Saginaw Community Foundation and annual celebration is tomorrow at the National Fitness Court. If you haven't had a chance to go out and see the court, it's a good opportunity to go out and check that out. It's a really nice piece of equipment for our Celebration Park area. It was a great project, and I think they'll celebrate that a little bit. And they had a little bit of a friendly competition. If you haven't had a chance to see that, I'm sure you'll see that tomorrow. While you're out there, you should check out the Garber Courts. I think that's another great project for our Central Park area, and really have to give a lot of, or actually all the credit to the private organization that did all the fundraising for that. So encourage you, if you get a chance tomorrow, I believe it's at 5 o'clock. So that concludes the management update.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for our city manager?
I do have one question for our city manager. I know that the water, we lifted that June 15th. Did we see any changes from that conversation? Did we find more people contacting community organizations and contacting the city to prevent those turnoffs?
We've seen pull up the report I have just in anticipation of that. We have seen our balance go down slightly for accounts receivable. We do have a number of people that have contacted the city, and probably, I'd say probably maybe around 40% that have been turned back on because they've made payment arrangements or they have assistance pending. So, and then we have a lot of people that we're going to have to really follow up on because we haven't received any contact back. So we do believe that there are some residences that maybe have been just the people have left and didn't turn their water account off. So we're following up on all those, and we do still encourage everyone to contact 211 or call the water department to make payment arrangements. And making the arrangements and coming in and talking with the staff is really the best thing to do if you can come in and see them in person. And also, if you do have an assistance application pending, so if you have submitted something to the state of Michigan or United Way or some other organization and you haven't heard back yet, make sure that you do get a copy of that application so you have it. And if you can show that to the water department when you come in, then that will keep your water on as well as you wait for those responses. So that's an important communication, and I know some council members have asked about that and have been communicating that, but that's something that we really do encourage you. Make sure you keep all of that paperwork.
Thank you, Manager Morales.
Ms. Morales, I had the opportunity to go to the ribbon cutting ceremony for the fitness center. Firefighters won. It was the firefighters against the police department. It was really tight though. It was a real close race. So if my fellow city council persons, if you get a chance, please go out. It is a beautiful facility. Not only that, the ribbon cutting ceremony for Garber Court, I went to that, and they're looking at possibly having the Williams sisters. They're hoping to have one of the Williams sisters come back home for an expedition for, what is it called? Whatever it is. Where they play tennis. Any more questions for our city manager? Y'all laughing at me. Stop laughing at me. I can see y'all. Stop laughing. Okay. Any more questions of the city manager? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Mayor, your next order of business is the consent agenda. And I do want to remind you about item number 36, that the vendor is Jones Chemical Corporation.
Agenda has been available at City Hall and on the city webpage and on SGTV channel 191. I need a motion leaving room for exceptions for any of the consent agenda items. I'm sorry. I need a motion.
So moved, George Copeland.
Bench supports.
It's been moved in support. Do we have any exceptions?
Yes, for exception for number 29.
Do we have any more?
I had for 27 and 29, but Councilman Copeland already called that.
So we have 27 and 29. Do we have any more? Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Madam Clerk.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Our first exception was item 27, and that is to approve the blanket purchases to the city's primary suppliers of local fleet vehicle services for various amounts for a total of $130,500 for various vehicle services and repairs for the garage division for fiscal year 2022. Councilmember Flores.
Yeah, in the justification, it stated that this represents a 37.8% increase from last year. Is there a reason why it had been increased so much? And then also, I understand that, you know, issuing individual purchases are costly and time consuming, but is that comparable to a 37.8% increase? Or would we be able to save money if we did them individually without a blanket order of $130,000?
Councilman, I see Phil Carwat's logging on, so I will ask him to respond to that if he's completely logged on now.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, you're in.
I had a little pause there between YouTube and live, so I may have, I know Councilman Flood wanted to ask about item 27, but I missed the question when it went between YouTube to going on live, so if you wouldn't mind maybe restating, Councilman Flores?
Yeah, of course. So it says in the justification that there's a 37.8% increase from the previous order or year. And then also it says in the justification that if we do $130,500 blanket order, that it would cut down on cost, or it would not take up as much administrative time, which would be equal to cost. And so I was just wondering where, if we would be able to save money by doing individual orders versus blanket orders.
Yeah, no, so what happens here, and this is probably one of the most unique divisions within the city in the motor pool, is the amount of purchases we make within a given year. I mean, we may make, you know, over 3,500, 4,000, 5,000 purchases. And for the most part, we make them with the vendors that are listed because they normally have the best or the lowest cost for the parts that we purchase. So where he says it's cost efficient is when vehicles go out of service, we don't have the additional vehicles to kind of, as one comes out of service, put one back in service. So we need the parts immediately. We don't have the time to wait 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks to try to get a part. So what this process does is, and we've been doing this for, God, I don't know, 10, 15 years, or maybe probably even more than that, but it allows us to set up blanket purchase orders with various vendors that we historically purchase parts from. And then what we do is we price quote between some of the vendors that we get a blanket purchase order for, because our purchasing limit is only $2,000, which was established in 1936. So it's just very cost prohibitive to try to price quote out every one of these and then possibly bring it to every council meeting 3, 4, 5,000, you know, however many times a year once we get up over $2,000. So that's where we say it's more efficient, is by giving our motor pool, myself, the Director of Public Services, and the motor pool administrator, the opportunity to price quote between the vendors and then buy the part from the vendor that provides us the best price. And some of them are sole source vendors, depending on the type of vehicle or equipment. So it's kind of like a checkbook. You know, for the most part, we get about $400,000 a year in the motor pool to buy parts or to pay for repair services for vehicles. And we can't lock all that up on a blanket PO. So, you know, we'll put about 130, and this is on an average. So I know that the last 4 or 5 meetings, council members, you've seen some stuff come in front of you that says we need to increase a purchase order with Wheel and Truck because we had a transmission go down on one of our large tandems. Or so sometimes the blanket PO we'll spend annually will be less than what we set it up for, and sometimes it may go over, but we kind of manage that throughout the year. And then we can't really lock up all the money in the checkbook on the 400,000, because if there's something we got to get from another vendor, we got to have a bit money available.
I'll just interrupt Phil for a second, Councilman. So the blanket purchase order like this will tie up that money in the budget for the fleet and sets a cap on these vendors that are listed. So if they tried to do individual quotes for each item, if it was over 2,000, then that would come back to council again as well. So then that's going to delay getting that vehicle back in service, which is the reason why we do these blanket purchase orders. But similar to other departments, and I think noted, and as Phil mentioned, we've had the increase is really based on our actual experience. I'm sure you saw towards probably mid-year, just February, around that time, he did have a lot of increases coming from the fleet for blanket purchase orders, just based upon our actual experience. So that's the reason for that increase. And I believe Phil can correct this if it's not true. That isn't necessarily, I don't think it's an increase in their annual budget necessarily, but he did reduce some other areas in fleet to account for that increase. Is that right, Phil?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
In the justification, it said for last year's request, it was a 37.8% increase.
Yeah. So what that's saying, council member, is that basically by the time we got to the end of last year, our actual POs, this amount we're setting it up for is 37.8% greater than what we actually spent last year to anticipate some additional needs for vehicles and equipment. Because if we set them up too low, we're going to have to continually bring these things in front of you and council, and I know you don't want to see that. You know what I mean? In a perfect world, I'd probably like to set these up for double than what they are, because many of them do go over. Like Tim said, like you start right around January, you'll start to see me bringing these council communications with increases for the motor pool, because that's about halfway through the fiscal year. And but what'll happen is if I have to increase one of the purchase orders, I'll lower another vendors to offset that cost.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's all the questions I had.
Need a motion?
Yeah, motion to accept consent agenda item number 27.
Need a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, Ms. Jan, did you get the second?
Councilman Allstash, yes, thank you.
Okay. It's been moved to second. We're hearing no more discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Madam Clerk.
Thank you. Our next item is number 29, is to approve the purchase and development agreement with the State of Michigan Department of Military and Veteran Affairs related to the property located on the other side of Naval Reserve Drive from the U.S. Naval Reserve Training Center. That's Councilman Copeland.
Hi, and I think Phil still on?
Yes, I'm still on.
Okay, I see. My question for this one is, I know that when I came on, there was a presentation regarding Wicks Park, and then the military and veterans, the training center was discussed, and then I read the information. And I see that we're already going into a contract with them. Is this something that's been going on prior to us getting to council, or is this just recently? These conversations recently took place.
No. I think this is more of an Amy question, because as I stated this morning, Amy's been working on this for about the past 20 years, but actually not quite that long, but for several years, it's been an ongoing discussion with this organization. So Amy, do you want to respond to that?
Sure. And first and foremost, I will point out that this is not park property. So if this was park property, it wouldn't be subject to a transaction such as this. So it is property that falls outside of Wicks Park itself. But this is an agreement with the state who currently operates that U.S. Naval Reserve Training Center near Wicks Park, and they're seeking to utilize a piece of city property for additional parking, and so we're entering into a development agreement with them that would transfer title to that property, allow them to develop it, maintain it, and otherwise care for the property. And then when the day comes that they might no longer need that property, the title to that property would come back to the city.
Thank you, Attorney Les. So this is actually beneficial to the city.
It's been something that's actually been under works for several years now. Bill and his team and myself, we've been in discussions with the State Department of
military and veterans affairs for quite a while now, but as you can imagine, can always be a little bit of a delay when you're going through different administrations through a state department. So change of people and can take a while for things to get fully reviewed and approved.
Thank you for that. So this is actually benefiting us because it's not taking away from our own department to take care of this property. Thank you. So I motion to accept the exception.
It's beneficial to the city to have that Naval Reserve Training Center here. It does bring individuals in to the city for, whether went out to lunch or working here or other. It does maintain operations here within the city.
Thank you.
William, second.
It's been moved to second. Hearing no more discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Thank you. I just want to make one thing. Mr. Ewing, I see that you are on the meeting, but there was no exception to our item. So you're free to leave the meeting if you wish. Thank you for being available. Mayor, our next order of business then is board, commission, and committee reports.
Fellow council people, I just need to make a quick announcement. If you serve on any boards or commission, I'm asking that we make sure we're in attendance because attendance is important. This is the time of year where we need to make some decisions. The decisions are being made on boards for budget. And if we're short of quorum, we can't do it. And we're the leaders, so we need to be at our meetings, please. Do we have any reports? Would anybody go to any meetings and they want to make board and commission meetings that they like to report on?
Yes, I'd like to make a report. I was on the airport board and I did attend that meeting. They discussed business as usual. They talking about acquiring some land around that area around there. I think there's some farmland around there that they may be trying to acquire or they have some issues with. Other than that, it wasn't too much to discuss.
Okay. Okay, we have, I'm sorry, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor. We are now at appointment of board and commission members.
We have four new appointees. Well, we have two appointments and two reappointments for boards and commissions in the city. I need a motion to approve, or we can do them individually, or we can do them all at one time.
I motion to accept and approve all appointments and reappointments.
Flores, seconds.
Second.
It's been moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Madam Clerk.
Mayor, we are now at miscellaneous business. We do have one item on here. It is a motion consideration to receive and file the recommendation report from the Local Officers Compensation Commission.
Has everyone had a chance to read the email that came out that was in your package? I need a motion.
Yep.
Yes, Mr. Copeland. I need a motion. It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Balls. Is there a second?
Stash will second.
It's been seconded by Mr. Arstash. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 That was really dry, y'all.
Yeah, still mean aye.
Madam Clerk.
I got something. Are we still in miscellaneous?
Yes.
I think I don't know if I think it's proper, but I would like to make a motion to allow the city to put the parking lot inside Jibway Island because of the recent rash of crime that we had on the island, that they would like to build a spot and put so many parking spots on the island so people can park their cars there and walk around the island. I think it don't cost no more than about $10,000 to $11,000, and I would like for the city to prepare getting the contractors to get that done.
Bench will second for the sake of discussion.
It's been moved to second. Discussion.
So, Mayor, I'll mention this for the rest of council. So,
thank you.
You may have, at the last council meeting, you recall we had a citizen in their public input talk about changes at the park, and Phil Carwatt and John Stemple and I were actually at the park looking at potential ways that we could safely reopen, and I did, I think, send you all an email about that. That's what that gentleman was talking about, because we kind of told him what we were thinking about. So what we would like to do at the park is where the old gate is. If you'll notice right now, people park there. There's not much room for parking. So it's really limited on the number of people that can come to the park and utilize it unless they park over at by the Anderson Center or at Celebration Park. But we still have concerns about a lot of issues that were going on there. And I know probably all of you heard from citizens throughout the city that regarding some of the incidences that were occurring there. So what we want to do is create access to the island, and so that people can go on, enjoy the amenities on the island, but this entire circular drive would not be open. So what that would require is for us to put up some temporary barriers, but also to asphalt some of the current area that we have at the front of the park and also stripe parking spaces that could parallel park on the street and park in that parking area. So we would be, we would be purchasing asphalt. We would be purchasing striping, guardrail, and some of the other items to be able to do that. And I did share that plan that we had developed with Mayor Pro Tem this morning, and intended to put it on the next meeting, but I think there's some urgency from people that would like to have that front part at least reopened as soon as possible. The changes that the parking would be there, I guess permanently once we do the asphalting in the front, that would be there permanently. The closing of the circular drive would be, they would be either bollards or something similar to that, boulders or something that can be moved, so that would not be a permanent item. They could be moved for special events, or at some other time if we want to open that drive up, that could be done. Eventually, anyway, there are going to be issues with that, with the island drive, with driving on it, because there is no drainage on that. If you've been there, we're starting to see that already, and so it's similar to the Wicks Drive, where it's not designed to have extensive vehicle traffic on it anyway. But and I asked Phil to remain on here in case there's any more technical questions about those items. So Phil, do you want to add anything?
Hello, Monique. I see you, Councilwoman. Bill, did you want to add anything?
No, just in working with Tim, we put up, like Tim said, everybody we've talked to on the islands really enjoyed none of the vehicles being on it, but we do want to make more room. Right now, basically from the gate back to Ezra Ross doesn't give you maybe much room for about 4 vehicles. So we're trying to find a way to open the current gates that are there, let you pull down what would be Fordney Street to Wicks Park and kind of use that area. You can then drive to the west and then use that area that's just north of that pedestrian bridge. If you've ever been down there walking, there's that pedestrian bridge that's to the west of the vehicular bridge. So we put some, John Stempel and I are working together, and we put some numbers together for just material only right now to kind of do a temporary, permanent kind of thing to let maybe 20 to 30 vehicles, a lot more vehicles get in there to park. And we're just right around 10,000 at least at this time for materials. And if we could, we try to do the most of the work with our own crews. Driving posts, putting up some chain link, or not chain link, but chain to control where pedestrians are walking, and maybe some guardrail. Because you're going to have to, once you let them onto the island, you can't. There's a lot of grass area there, so you gotta close a lot of that off so vehicles don't then drive onto the island somewhere. So we'd have to do a little bit of work and some pavement. So, right around 10 grand right now anyway is the estimate on the material we need to make that happen. If we're using our own crews to do the labor.
Councilwoman Silvers, I'm sorry. I know you had a question. I'm sorry. I was gonna get you.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Well, actually, I have a couple questions and maybe concerns. I'd like to see something in writing so I can read it, go over it. What's the actual plan instead of just bringing this on me all of a sudden? What about handicapped persons being able to drive on the island in their vehicles? Have you thought about speed bumps? I would rather see something planned out, something written, black and white, what your plan is. And have you thought about speed bumps? And what about our handicapped citizens?
Yeah, I'm sure as part of our proposal, we could make a couple of the spaces available for handicap for sure. So there's going to be plenty of space for that. And then there's the new Iron Bell Trail that we built a year or two ago with the DNR trust funds, where this parking will be right by. They can get right on that trail and access the entire island that way. So if we're not opening the entire Wicks Park Drive, I don't think that speeding on the island's been an issue. So we're not looking at opening the entire circular portion of Ojibwe Island to vehicles again. We're looking at keeping that closed off and just allowing more vehicles to park closer to the entrance, so they can then go access the island.
A written plan? Is there something written?
Yeah, we can get you a drawing and kind of a plan as to what we're proposing for sure. Yep.
Okay, yeah, I'm more visual. I like to see and, have conversation back and forth after that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Mr. Councilman Williams.
Yes, I'm curious to know, is our police department unavailable for overtime for certain times when we know the park is going to be in use, or even our police reserves, and the use of our police officers? Would that be less than what you're projecting for this project? Especially for considering that we're talking about maybe the late spring through summer, early fall time during the year. I didn't do the math in my head, but I just think that maybe we could save some money, maybe not in the long run, but at least for the next 2-3 years, whatnot, save money that way by using our police officers or police reserves, for that matter.
Well, yeah, Chief's not on here, but right now I think he is having a lot of overtime in the police department already, and is working to fill that overtime. So I don't know if at this point in the year that's a good option for remaining, for working on the island in that matter. And we have also talked about the number of personnel that he would feel comfortable having there. So I'm not sure that's necessarily a good solution. With this project, I think, as I mentioned, though, it isn't that expensive when you're talking about the amount of money that we do spend on parks. And I think regardless of what we do, in the future with the park, if we do reopen the drive at some point, this is still going to be an area where people can park and if they want to use the front part of the island. So I think it's going to be beneficial to have this, whatever we do in the future.
Okay, so this is just a project that's just basically beneficial for the city, just for this particular part.
I think it would be beneficial, whatever we were going to do. If we do want to have it open, it's going to create the number of parking spaces at the beginning, at the front entrance area of the park. It's kind of, as you pull into the park, you turn left on the circular drive. We have kind of that
parking area.
That small street. That's what we're looking at expanding right there. So that I think is a spot where a lot of ice fishermen and different people like to park anyway when they're using the island. So I think it'll benefit us in the long run. And even with that open, it may very well be that we do have to use police reserves, or I know Mayor Pro Tem Balls has talked about park officials or park rangers or the reserves. Maybe we will need that anyway, Councilman Williams. And we have, I know you're all aware that we have had incidents at other parks as well, and we've talked about utilizing the cameras, but it may be something where we do need to have more law enforcement presence or some other type of individual that does do that.
This is Councilman Copeland. Have we ever thought about partnering with community organizations to do some of the policing, or I don't even want to use the word policing, because I'm aware of the one big incident. Would we be able to have any data provided to us based on of any incidents at parks? Because I have heard that there's a lot of incidents, but I haven't seen any data on those other incidents. And I don't want us to make this a $10,000, $11,000 investment when we could possibly use the Rangers or use some outside service that's willing to come in and partner with the city of Saginaw without making that type of investment. And an answer doesn't have to be given now. I'm just asking in general.
I can answer it now. I think the issue with having, I think Councilman Williams did and Mayor Pro Tem Balls have really hit it on the head. It has to be someone who is affiliated with the city, whether it happens to be police overtime or police officers on special duty, or if we did create park rangers, it's because it's a liability issue. When you're dealing with the public and enforcement of rules or different things like that, it needs to really be a city employee or someone who is tied to the city. I know the reserves aren't employees, but they are tied to the city and they work with the police department. If you did mention any reports or different things like that, and I think I know you all hear these things from the parks too, but there are a number of incidents, and a lot of times they're occurring at the moment. Even if someone does call 911, the individual causing the issue may be gone. So whether that ends in a police report or if it's just, I think when we were at the park talking to people, when we were looking at the potential for this parking area, some of the people we did interact with, and I've heard this other times, they don't even call these incidents in because they know that the people will leave before the officers do get there. But I'll tell you, and I think Councilman Ostash can tell you too, because he was texting me the last night that the island was open was a council meeting, and we were getting nonstop complaints sent to us via text and email.
Thank you for that, Manager Morales.
Yeah, it's Councilman Ostash. I've got just a comment on that, Tim. You talked about like if we were to reopen the park, and I know we've got cameras and stuff going down there too. But even that evening, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think even with the truck that was in the grass, I think something even happened afterwards. Even after the truck left, there was other cars that were driving through the grass. So one of the complaints and things that I've heard in the past, and we have had incidences that have happened there. And I can't remember where I heard this from, but there was somebody driving through the grass, and at one time, did somebody get hit? Was that an issue at the park? So I think even if the park was reopened, yeah, did somebody?
Yeah,
Okay.
that happened. That is true. But that
Okay,
was
that
not
is true.
this
That
year.
is true. Okay, I thought
Right.
I had
It was
heard
not this year. It's been in the
Yeah.
past.
Right.
But
So,
yes, it has.
Yeah, so from my fellow colleagues and for the manager too, reopening the park at some point too, I think we need to try and figure out a plan of how to keep the vehicles from going through the middle of the park, because people are having picnics and they're enjoying the grassy areas, to prevent these types of things from happening. And then also, like, what would be a cost for us to do that, and also what would be some ideas. I'm thinking of a person who runs parks at the time, I think has already kind of floated some ideas to me as well. So I might reach out to that person and try and get some more information on what he's thinking.
We talked about this in our meeting this morning, and this is just, this is Brenda's talking. And one of the things was this: we know that we still have a lot of work to do.
Right.
The whole idea was, because we talked briefly about it last time, and I understand you guys all need to get a copy of what was said. From looking at what I looked at this morning, there's going to be some bars that's going to stop people from riding across the grass.
Okay.
But it's also going to be some parking spaces. Just like when you go to Hayco Park, you got to walk now. Okay? You got to get your wagons out, like I do anyway. Get your wagon out, put your stuff in the wagon, and you got to just pull it. The whole intent was, and I'm sure all of you have been getting phone calls from citizens as to when are we going to open it. We've been waiting on the camera. So in the meantime, in between time, we're looking at not a quick fix, and we're looking at something to where we can move forward. I'm sure that the cameras are going to come. Councilman Williams, I like everybody's idea, but the question was asked, when is we going to open it back up? And so we don't want to rush it. The question was just posed, how do y'all feel? So if that's not a good idea, then that means we go back to the drawing board and then we come up with something else. I mean,
okay.
Manager Morales, what do you think? And Phil, what do you guys think?
I think, in talking with Chief and Phil and other people involved with the parks, and individuals who are utilizing the parks, I think at this time, this is probably the best and fastest way to reopen the park. And it will make it more user-friendly for the people who want to utilize it for biking, fishing, and picnicking and different things like that. And we'd likely be able to do this in a matter of 3 to 4 weeks and have it open sometime in July. The other options, it will be a lot more, I think, than this cost to make it so that the island, that you can't drive across the middle, rather than closing it off at the front like this. If we try to do it in all of the grassy areas, place something that probably would be more than the $10,000. Potentially, if we get into situations like we had earlier, then the island may have to be closed again. If we can't take up 6 officers to close the island every night when it's supposed to close at dawn. That's not practical.
Any other questions? There's a motion on the floor. I don't know if it was second or not, Madam Clerk.
Before you take a vote, I'd just like the council to be aware that Manager Morales did send you an email with the drawings attached to it. And I know if you have your iPad, you open that up, you're going to disappear because you only have one screen. But I do want you to be aware that he did forward it to you. You will be able to see the drawing and the information.
Madam Clerk, did we get a second? I didn't hear. Did we get one?
Yes, it was moved by Balls and seconded by Bench.
Thank you. Any more discussion?
Can you please repeat the motion?
Madam Clerk, can you repeat the motion, please?
Yes, approval up to $11,000 for the Ojibwe Island Parking Area project.
It's been moved to second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, let's take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Flores,
Aye.
Councilmember Williams,
Aye.
Pro Tem Balls,
Aye.
Councilmember Bench,
Aye.
Councilmember Ostash,
Aye.
Councilmember Scherzer is absent, Councilmember Copeland,
Aye.
Councilmember Lamar Sylvia.
No.
We have 7 yes and 1 no. Your motion is approved.
You didn't ask me. You didn't ask me.
Oh,
you forgot me.
Well, I wrote you down as a Mayor
But
Moore.
I'm a yes. I'm a yes. But you
I am
just
so
forgot.
sorry. We have 7 yes and 1 no. Motion
problem.
still approved.
Motion approved. Madam Clerk, are we still at miscellaneous? Do we have anything else anyone would
Mayor?
like to share? Yes,
Madam
sir.
Mayor,
Yes,
if
sir.
there is, if any council member does want to go and walk around there to see what we're talking about, just send me an email and either Phil or I or John Stemple can meet you down at the island and kind of walk you through the area that we're talking about.
That would be me.
Well, I got you. I got you. Anything else you'd like to say, Councilwoman Sylvia? Or you was just putting your
That
hand
would
up
be
there?
me.
Okay. Okay. So it is an invitation for any council member who would like to go to see where they're actually talking about putting the parking space. If you'd like to go, please send an email to the city manager's office. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay. I did want to know in regards to the water shutoff, how that was going. If you had some sort of number of the water shutoff persons that had their water shut off, and or people that have made arrangements for their water shut off. I don't know if you would have that information tonight, but I'd be interested in that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I can send council an email with those numbers.
Thank you so much.
Yes, Mr. Ostash. I seen your hand. Mr. Copeland, you next.
Yeah, Mayor. So what I'd like to do is, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to refer review of the Safe Syringe program to city staff and for them to bring forward any changes to the city ordinance that may be appropriate.
I'll second that, Flores.
It's been moved to second. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Okay. I seen Mr. Copeland, you wanted to say something?
No, I was saying thumbs up to Manager Morales. He said he'll send us the information. I was just saying thumbs up to him.
Okay. Is there any more comments? Any more miscellaneous? With none, I need a motion to adjourn.
Bench move.
Ball support from Saginaw, Michigan.
Okay, Miss Silvers, if you would take your stuff off of mute, then you can always get in there. So it's been moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Everybody have a good week.